Okay, let's jump right into this explainer and tackle, honestly, what has to be the ultimate homeowner headache: basement flooring, and the great carpet tile debate. If you've got a below-grade space, you already know the stakes, right? You just want a warm, comfy room, but instead you're constantly battling these invisible forces: moisture, chemistry, gravity, the whole shebang. And when you actually try to figure out how to floor that space correctly, wow, the amount of conflicting info out there is just absolutely staggering. So today, we're going to cut through all that noise. We'll look at some real-world examples and uncover the actual science behind what makes a basement floor succeed or, completely fail. So our story kicks off on a very familiar battlefield: a Reddit home improvement forum. This is the exact question a user posted after making a pretty horrifying discovery during their basement remodel. They were prepping the space, probably feeling pretty good about their DIY skills, and they decided to pull up some old glued-down carpet squares to make way for the new flooring. I mean, this post just perfectly captures the ultimate fear for anyone with a basement, doesn't it? Pulling up old flooring only to reveal a massive, hidden mold farm just spreading across the concrete. The homeowner knew they'd had a minor drainage issue in one corner in the past, but they had absolutely no idea the moisture had traveled all the way across the room, just sitting there, trapped silently beneath those carpet squares. It is literally the stuff of homeownership nightmares. Naturally, they turned to the internet for help. But, well, welcome to the internet's wild west of home improvement advice. When this user asked for guidance, and even when another user ran a massive poll just asking a simple question like, "Hey, do you have carpet in your basement and what's underneath it?" the community responded with a tidal wave of completely contradictory advice. One commenter actually hit the nail on the head, perfectly summarizing the feeling of researching basement flooring online: paralysis by analysis. And they are spot on. You go online looking for a simple, "hey, do this, not that" answer, and instead you end up just completely freezing. Why? Because literally every single option seems to come with a catastrophic warning from someone claiming they ruined their house doing exactly what you were just told to do. Seriously, for every loud opinion declaring you absolutely must do one thing, there's an equally loud opinion demanding you do the exact opposite. One person tells you to epoxy the floor to completely block moisture. The next person jumps in and says, no, concrete needs to breathe. Sealing it will cause it to erupt. One user swears by a 6 mil plastic vapor barrier, while another says that's basically begging for a mold trap. Some say dry core subfloor panels are worth every single penny. Others call them a terrible idea. Some insist luxury vinyl plank is the only answer, while others say you should just glue down cheap carpet and treat it as disposable if it floods. It's pure chaos. Okay, let's pivot away from all that internet guesswork for a second and look at how this is handled in the professional realm. Think about massive, beautifully smooth commercial spaces. In the commercial construction world, they aren't relying on guesswork or just crossing their fingers and hoping for the best. They start with science and, more importantly, they start with a perfectly prepared substrate. If we look at the technical documentation from Ardex QuickSeal, they're a global manufacturer of engineered flooring solutions. They tell us exactly where things go wrong. They state point blank that unprepared and contaminated concrete slabs are the main cause of expensive, totally avoidable flooring failures. You see, it's not the carpet's fault, it's not the vinyl's fault. A rock-solid bond between the substrate, which is your concrete base, and whatever goes on top of it is the absolute, single most critical key to success. So the absolutely crucial point boils down to a specific number: 5.5%. Before anything gets put down, the moisture level of that concrete must be tested. Ardex specifically states that if your slab exceeds 5.5% moisture, or 70% relative humidity, a moisture barrier has to be applied first, no exceptions. If the slab is below grade, cracked, or missing a vapor barrier beneath the concrete itself, you have to engineer a solution on top of it before you even think about laying down that pretty flooring you're going to be walking on. And really, this is the main difference between a DIYer at the local hardware store and a true professional installation. Instead of blindly mixing and matching some random primer, a cheap leveler, and whatever glue happens to be on sale that day, commercial installations rely on integrated systems. The source material refers to System Ardex. This is basically a philosophy of using high-quality, totally compatible products that are chemically engineered to work together perfectly, from the concrete all the way up to the floor covering. What's actually super interesting about this is how modern floor systems actively solve problems rather than just covering them up. Take their rapid dry formula technology, for instance. It literally binds the water used for mixing directly into the mortar. That virtually eliminates the risk of water bleeding out and staining the finished floor later on. They also use these ultra-rapid self-leveling compounds that can level a floor at just 2 millimeters thick. That drastically reduces the amount of material you actually need. And, absolutely crucial for a closed-off basement, they prioritize low VOC products. That means they're strictly limiting the harmful volatile organic compounds and gases that get released into your home's air. Meanwhile, back on the internet, another user was dealing with a totally different kind of crisis. This person posted on Reddit, complaining about the aesthetics of some modular carpet tiles that were installed in their building's hallway. They were pretty upset because there was a visible line running right down the dead center of the hall, and, well, they blamed the installers for doing a terrible job. But as the community was very quick to point out, the user kind of fundamentally misunderstood the product. You see, traditional broadloom carpet comes in massive rolls, and the installer's whole job is to weld the seams so they're completely invisible. Modular carpet tiles, though, they are an entirely different beast. They're individual squares, usually about 24 by 24 inches. Seeing the individual squares and the lines between them is exactly how the product is designed to function. The huge advantage here is that if one single square gets stained or damaged, you just pull it up and swap it out. You don't have to replace the whole room. The commenters explained that these tiles actually have directional arrows on the back for installation. That line the user hated so much in their hallway, that was likely the result of a monolithic installation, which just means all the tiles face the exact same direction. If you do that in a narrow hallway with 24-inch tiles, you are absolutely going to see a distinct line right down the middle. If they wanted to hide it, they could have used an Ashlar pattern that offsets the tiles like brickwork, or maybe a quarter-turn pattern, which rotates alternating tiles 90 degrees to create a neat little checkerboard look. So it wasn't a bad installation at all, it was just a very specific layout choice. Okay, so let's bring these two worlds together. You've got your perfectly prepped concrete substrate, and you've got your highly functional modular carpet tiles. But what goes in between them? What makes the floor actually feel good to walk on while also keeping that terrifying basement mold at bay? Well, it comes down to the cushion. Specifically, let's look at the Treadmore Carpet Tile Cushion by Legend & Platt. According to their official spec sheet, a dedicated cushion like this acts as the missing link for hardback carpet tiles. It's a 100% synthetic rubber liner that you just roll out over your prepped concrete. It acts as a clean start layer, smoothing out any tiny little irregularities left behind. It works as an acoustical barrier to deaden sound in the room. And just like those Ardex products we talked about earlier, it's certified for low indoor air emissions. But I want you to pay close attention to this one specific spec. Class 3 Vapor Semi-Permeable. What does that actually mean? Well, vapor permeance is just the measure of how much water vapor a material lets through. A Class 3 rating means this cushion is a breathable moisture barrier. It doesn't trap moisture completely against the concrete, which, as we learned from those chaotic internet debates, can cause disastrous mold and concrete failure. Instead, it allows the concrete to breathe just a tiny bit, managing the vapor while still protecting the carpet tile on top from getting wet. It's perfectly engineered balance. And the final result of all this chemistry and planning is a polished, professional environment. It looks totally effortless. But underneath that sleek, modular carpet design is a rock-solid foundation of proper mechanical substrate preparation, chemical moisture management, and specialized breathable cushioning. It's a system, guys. It's not a gamble. So what's the big takeaway from this explainer? Really, it's that the confusion stops here. Whether you decide to install luxury vinyl plank, epoxy, or some stylish carpet tiles, the long-term success of your basement floor has almost nothing to do with the surface material you buy at the big box store. It has absolutely everything to do with the chemistry, the moisture testing, and the mechanical preparation of the concrete right beneath it. The next time you look at a basement floor, just remember what's happening beneath the surface. I'll leave you to ponder your own basement, and I really hope this explainer has equipped you to tackle it with confidence and actual data. So I have to ask, are you ready to assess the true readiness of your concrete foundation? Or are you going to let internet rumors dictate your next remodel? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy building.